You are now listening to Nostalgia Untitled.
Come hang out with us as we travel back in time.
You know your history.
To the 90s and 2000s. The memories.
I'm True.
And I'm AJ.
Stick around while we talk about some of our old school favorite classics.
Now let's get nostalgic up in here.
Que lo que, mis amores? The duo is back again because there's nothing we love more than to run our mouths. AJ, how's your week been?
My week has been pretty good. Just a pretty chill week. Nothing too extraordinary. It's me and my boyfriend's anniversary this Saturday, which I'm excited for.
That's cute.
Yep.
That's
We
really
are
cute.
1 year. One year together. Right?
Damn.
It's so
Already?
fast. It's actually like a year and a half, but like official 1 year together.
I was going to say, because you do that thing, right, where you wait X amount of months before you actually are like, yeah, this is cool. We can do this. Where you're like officially
Yes,
like, yeah.
because I don't like to jump into things because people are wild. So
Yeah, you're better than me. Shit.
prefer
I
to
mean,
get
dive
to know
in
people.
immediately. Dive in immediately. It's a
And
red
then-
flag of mine. I know. You don't gotta go there. It's okay. I know.
How about you, True? How was your week?
My week's been pretty good. It's actually been pretty intense. I saw the doctor do an enucleation the other day, and it was disgusting and cool all at the same time. We've had
What the
multiple
fuck is that?
surgeries. Enucleation? We take the eyeball. Right out of the
Oh,
socket.
okay.
Eyeball
That's
right out of the eye. Yeah, I mean, he needed it. His eyeball was like
That's disgusting.
bulging out. He got into a dogfight, and Dad was like, "No, it's not that." And I'm like, "Bro," Dad's like, "He got stepped on." I'm like, "You can literally see the puncture wound. The homie was bit by your other dog, and done popped his eyeball out of place. So let's not."
Damn.
But it's great because the
Not
dog's
the one-eyed
fine.
bandit.
Hey, listen, he's got another eye. It's fine. He's got another one, so it's not really a big deal.
You're always born with two.
Not everybody. How dare you? Not you being exclusive, or is it non-inclusive?
See, that's what you get. That's exactly what you get.
I am all about including everyone and embracing everyone, including the people who are born with one eye, unlike yourself, good sir.
Well,
Speaking, you know what? That's a great segue, because speaking of inclusivity, what I want to talk about this week.
wait,
is,
before we go, I appreciate all people born with one eyeball.
Not you trying to backtrack
appreciate
now. Not
people-
you trying to save
I
yourself.
appreciate everyone. I'm not
Hey,
saving myself.
you're
but
already
I don't want
canceled.
anybody. I don't want none of this shit. I don't want none of this shit to be misconstrued.
You're already canceled. Okay.
I don't want none of it to be misconstrued.
Listen, you've already canceled. You can't go back on it now. Anyway, speaking of which,
Let me tell you about that one time True called me a faggot. Cancel. Who's canceled now? Who's canceled now? Who's canceled now?
Wait, he's guys. That is a lie. That is false on our
Look who's trying to
count.
backtrack now. Look who's trying to backtrack now.
Hey, I've known AJ now. How many years? I've known you for quite some time now. I feel like at least a good solid 5. Since I've met him, he'd always talked about we have a lot of discussions about culture and all that sort of stuff. And he had been trying to get me to do the 23&Me DNA testing. And I know for all you people who think China's against us and have all this, worry about DNA testing, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Let them do whatever the hell they want. Let them track me. Let them find me, please. I don't care. Put me out my misery. But I went ahead and decided to finally take the 23&Me DNA testing, and I got back some pretty interesting results. And basically, I just want to go through with you and kind of what that process is like.
Wait, let's just address that this is a little bit different type of episode.
Yeah.
It's not like our typical episode where we normally go over something from the early 90s and 2000s. I mean, True kind of is the early 1990s, She's older
Anyways,
than me.
how dare you? But you know what though? I feel like in a way, this is still nostalgic because this brings up the topic of how we were raised and what that means for us now with these results, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, you also did an ancestry test, right?
I did Ancestry and I did 23&Me.
Then
So
you got money.
Double
huh?
China. Double China.
You got money. He said double. Them's ain't cheap.
Actually, I really did do them back to back because I did the Ancestry, and then a few months later I did 23&Me.
Did you find that the results were similar?
Yeah, very similar. I prefer the 23&Me over the Ancestry. I just like the interface better. I like the way it looks. I like the way they break it down. Ancestry is kind of boring. 23&Me made it more exciting. I don't know. It just made it.
Honestly,
it felt like they were excited to tell me my results.
I definitely get that because as the weeks went on, from when I sent it, they kept sending me emails saying well, this, and that. And oh, hey, we just received your package. And basically that my DNA was cooking and that eventually I was going to get the results and I got to track it and all of that. And it was really cool, despite the wariness people may have about that. I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting to learn about this whole other side that I didn't know existed. And I think being Latina, being Dominican and Puerto Rican, finding out some of the stuff that I find out, knowing how our culture is, it's interesting. I think it opens up the door for us to have bigger discussions. And bitch is cool. It's cool as hell. It's cool as hell.
Yeah, it's fun to find out. It's fun to find out where you're from.
Yeah,
it's fun to see it. A lot of people from African descent normally don't know, especially if your ancestors were part of the transatlantic slave trade. You don't really know a lot of your ancestry, where you're from, what country you're from. You kind of just say, "Lo, I'm African American," or "I'm Jamaican," but you have origins beyond that. You have origins from Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, Ethiopia. You have all over Africa.
And with what you're saying, there are actually quite a bit of what you had mentioned in my results.
Yeah, so can you go over let's go over your entire result. Let's just read through the entire thing.
Okay. So I have here that 52.6% I am Southern European, Spanish and Portuguese, broadly Southern European, and then some Jewish in there apparently. And then, which this took me by surprise. Okay, so I would always say when AJ and I would have discussions about, whether or not there was Black in me, I would say, I don't doubt it. Now that I was older and had more education brought down on me. But I did not expect this much percentage. I am 34.4% Sub-Saharan African. From West Africa, I've got some Nigerian in Sub-Saharan. There we go. I've got some Nigerian in there. Some, I can't read, Liberian. Yeah, is that what that says? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
West Africa. It's pretty cool. And you had said it. 34.4% is a big percentage. That is no
and then
joke.
I think there's but you have more African in you, right? You have East African in you too, right?
I have. Let's see. Broadly Sub-Saharan African, hunter-gatherer, Angolian. East African too. Yep, I do have East African. And then I have 7.9% Indigenous American from Puerto Rico, Taino, which is pretty cool also. Because I don't think my family members even know that. And then I've got a little bit of Western Asian and North African as well. That's another one. So is that Northwest, Northeast, and West African?
Yes. Yep.
Egyptian. Yeah, this is, and so I think for me, the hardest part about all of this information is if you know me, I'm geologically, girl, we struggling out here. When it comes to the continents and the states and where the line is, I can't help you. This was my least favorite subject in school. Sometimes I barely know the state that I live in or the country, let alone the city. So I think that's the hardest part about this, because you're hearing all of these different places and I'm just a few of them obviously I know, but I can't tell you anything about them, right? But I guess that's just more for me to discover.
Yeah, it's a lot more of you to discover. You can discover all the parts. You can discover the colonizer, the Spanish part. The Spanish part. You can discover the African parts of you, which is a big chunk.
Yeah.
More than a quarter.
Yeah.
It's like you got like 36, 37% African.
Yeah, that's
which is great. I mean, like I told you, but also you're Dominican.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
it would make sense that you would have African in you. I mean, Cardi B recognizes herself as black. So,
I think for me, because we'll just get into it. Back when I was me and AJ went to college together. This discussion had came up all my life. People would assume I was black, and I grew up across the street from a lot of all of my friends growing up were black, and
were the people that you were growing up with, were they African American or were they like immigrants?
No, I mean, so I had some friends that were Honduran, and honestly, where was he from? I don't want to say the wrong thing, because now that I'm older, they were very proud of where they came from, but I just didn't come from a place from understanding where I was just kind of like, okay, that's cool. You come from there, I come from here, and we're all friends. And again, because I'm so bad with geography, right? It is geography.
Yes.
I just never retained it, but a lot of people growing up assumed right off the bat that I was black. They never assumed that I was Dominican or Puerto Rican or that I was Latin in any way. Right off the bat, they would always assume that I was black. And growing up, I had a real big issue with that because I was proud of where I came from, but for some reason, it just didn't, I guess, represent in that way, or just it didn't come off that way. And for me, it was just more of like, there is that Latin pride. I know I have that, where it's just like, bro, how dare you say something like that?
But that's also like a colorism issue, right?
Because it is. And we're going to get into that. And we are going to get into that. But when I was in college, I got into a really heated debate in the middle of class with this guy who kept insisting that I was black. And I had a hard time with it because whenever someone would tell me, no, you're black, it felt like they were erasing everything that I had grown up with. Like my salsa, my bachata, my flag, and having that Dominican pride, having that Puerto Rican pride, having somebody just shut me down and say, no, you're black. It was hard. It was really hard for me to accept that, Yeah. And the older I got, the longer I stayed in places that had diversity, the more that I learned, hey, Haiti right there, baby. You see the color of your sister, you see the color of your grandpappy, like, be so for real. And
but also I think you just learned race, ethnicity, and nationality wrong. And so like you didn't understand. I mean, no one taught you the difference. So you look at it like Latino is a race, when really, you know what I mean? It's like you were born, it's just anybody born in Latin America is Latino, right? So there's like, and there's Chinese Latinos, like, you know what I mean? And
that was such a hard concept for me to accept. That wasn't something that was articulated to me growing up. And we've had conversations, and I've had conversations with other, honestly, other black folk who they'd come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, are you Afro Latina?" And I was just like, "What do you mean by that? You and I have had this conversation where it's like, do I just tell people that I'm Afro Latina? Like, I no longer deny, even before I got these results, that there was some sort of black percentage inside in my mechanisms, in my makeups.
But I mean, that's not to interrupt, but I mean, like I said, nobody is expecting. I feel like no one is expecting you to hold up a fist and like be like, I'm black and proud. You know what I mean? I think that honestly, you can recognize yourself as like you can recognize yourself as a mixed race person, not necessarily just You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when I got into that heated debate with that one, what was his name? I think his name was Yaku. But when I got into that heated debate, that's what it felt like. It felt like he wanted me to just let go of everything, but I will not erase what I grew up with. And it felt like that is what he wanted me to do.
But I think that's what I'm saying. I think it's conflicting, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe his argument is that like just because you're black does not make you any less Latino.
100%.
You know what I mean?
But I feel like it's different from like when you and I have these conversations of culture, of race. You never come from a place of, oh, I know more than you and you're wrong. The way that you were raised was wrong. You come from a place of, hey, it's a different time where, you know, we have access to so much technology that can give us a better sense of our history.
Yeah.
And would that be the worst thing if you learned that you're mixed?
Yeah.
Right? And I've embraced that where I'm like, oh, it's not a bad thing to learn that there's more for me to discover about myself. And I feel like that is a better place to come from than you're wrong about how you were raised.
Yeah, for sure. I think that like we're all taught things, specifically most cultures are taught that being black is not a great thing. Which actually they're wrong. We're amazing.
That is one statement I will allow you to make. Yes, they are absolutely wrong. My mom in particular, she was pretty bad about that, which would be crazy to me now that I always think back on it. I was like, bro, my sister, dark as hell. My granddad was so like, even like my uncles and stuff like that from my mom's side. I'm like, what is it? You know, I used to have one of my oldest friends, which growing up, I didn't realize how bad the nickname was. She used to call him Azulito because he was so black, he looked blue.
Wow.
And I'm like, and like he would, and like he knew about it. He knew about the nickname, and he would be like, "Why does your mom say that? You know, say that about me?" And he would laugh it off, right? And I would sit there, and I'm just like, "Oh, well, it's funny because she recognizes you, and it's endearing, whatever." Growing up, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, that was fucked up that she called him that. That was so fucked up that she would call him that." But thinking back, there was a lot of things that our culture would do where we're just like, "What? Who allowed us to do this?"
Especially when like I feel like when African Americans be hearing that shit, y'all call people like La Negra and stuff. We be like, "What the fuck?" Like, you know what I mean? Like at first, and then like if you explain it to us, it's like it's still what the fuck, but like it's also like a cultural difference, right?
Yeah. My sister's nickname growing up was La Chiva Prieta, the black sheep.
Yeah. So why you gotta give the black kids those type of names? You know what I mean?
Like,
I don't know. That's very complicated for me. I don't know. It makes me it gives me a little bit of an ick. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But that's really what it is though, right? Where, you know, you grow up being told these things, right? Growing up, I used to say the N-word. It was normalized around the area that I lived in. But when I think back on how like the block that I grew up with, the friends that I had, there were a few of them that would always be like, ha ha ha, why are you saying that? Who said that you could say that?
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's because of how young we were. We never like sat down and been like, hey, you actually can't say that, because I would think back and they would be laughing it off and be like, haha, you know, like making a joke of it. And I think they also came from a place of, how do I explain and articulate that that's not okay for her to say? But also me being like, who gave me the clearance, right?
Yeah.
It took moving away. It honestly took moving away and going to a bigger place with more diversity, where I was just like, oh, I'm actually not supposed to say that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like on the East Coast in general, I feel like a lot more Spanish people, or not Spanish people, Latino, like we say Spanish over there, but a lot of Latino people tend to say it, and we don't really like bat it out. Like Fat Joe says it. Jennifer Lopez
says it.
Jennifer Lopez has said it. Big Pun has said it. Like, those are people, but it's just like, I think that's like a cultural difference. Me personally, I don't want anybody to say that's not black, because I feel like if you don't know the pain of being called that feels like, you probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like there's also...
That's like the line for me. If you don't know what it feels like to be called that by someone that doesn't look like you, that treats you like shit, you know what I mean? Then you really don't know what it feels like. So you really shouldn't say it. You know what I mean? Yeah, we reclaim the word to alleviate some of the pain from that word, right? So it's a big thing.
I think that's important for people to retain. And when I say that I understand in the sense of like seeing situations of, you know, that my sister has been in, where the way that she was treated. And it's not to say that Latinos don't experience people treating them like shit because of, you know what I'm saying? But it's different. It's different, and you can't put them in the same box. Yes, it's fucked up when you do have someone treat you like shit because of the color of your skin, because of they can tell that you're Latino, that you're black, all of that kind of stuff. But I think what you're saying is a great way to put it. If you don't know the meaning of what it's like to be called that by somebody who is being hateful towards you, who is showing malice, don't say the word.
Yep.
What's so hard about it?
It's cut and dry.
What's so hard about it?
But let's just switch gears just a little bit, right? I want to go over, just for the viewers and ourselves, because we're not racial experts, right? I want to show the difference between them by definition, so we address them as such as we move forward in this discussion, right? So race, the overview. Race refers to the physical characteristics that serve as an identifier that someone belongs to a specific biological group. This includes things like skin color, eye color, facial features, hair color, and even the physical build. Ethnicity refers to the cultural characteristics that you share with people of a specific group. The things that can dictate your ethnicity include your language, religion, accent, fashion, food preferences or restrictions, customs, and hairstyles. And your nationality compared to the other two. Nationality is a fairly simple concept to grasp. Nationality refers to your citizenship, which you were either born as, you converted to in a process called naturalization. And to put the hammer in the nail, or the nail in the hammer, whatever.
Nail in the coffin.
There you go. Race and ethnicity often go hand in hand. However, there is no single combination. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of combinations out there due to the sheer number of ethnicities in the world. The main difference between the two is that one is physical and the other is mainly cultural.
Okay, now give an example of all three.
Race would be someone that's black, someone that's white, right? Ethnicity would be, you could say, like someone that is Arab, you're from Islam. And your nationality is where you were born, so you could be Dominican, Puerto Rican, and things like that, from my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. I know, like, if for any listeners, if your brain, the way it works, the way mine does, him giving those examples is much better than like the definitions, simply because, like I said, all this shit, bruh, can't we all just get along, you know? I'm like, please. But if I'm not mistaken, after you got your results, what exactly did they say for you?
I am sub-Saharan African, 82%.
Oh my God, are we brothers?
Are we brothers? We're brothers.
Just ignore that.
You meant siblings?
That's what I meant.
Yes, we're brothers. You have been known to have a hair or two on your chin. I'm West African. I'm Nigerian, and mine actually tells me, yours might over time, but mine actually tells me the tribe that I'm from in Nigeria, which is cool. The Igbo people. I'm Ghanaian and Liberian and from Sierra Leone. I'm 15.6% of that. And the rest is like smaller percentages, broadly West Africa and stuff like that. And then I'm 16% European. Most of it is from Britain and Ireland. And then I'm 0.7% Indigenous American. And then I have trace ancestry from Indonesia and Thailand.
Ooh. You know what I would love? And this could be a side note. I want you to send them to me the way I sent yours so I can compare ours.
Yeah, I could do that right now. My experience of when I got mine, I was ecstatic because I've been wanting to know exactly where I'm from. When I was growing up, a nostalgia moment for me was I would grow up black and proud, and I grew up watching A Different World, which is a show that primarily based itself off of HBCUs, and it showcased like black men and black women getting educated and like finding themselves and finding their culture, and how they move about that. And for me, that was big. And so when I got older, I really wanted to find out where I was from. And so I took the 23&Me test. I also took Ancestry, but we're going over 23&Me today. And I was super excited just to see what parts of Africa I'm from. You know what I mean? Like, just what parts? Because it's like, there's so many countries in Africa. And like, so where I wanted specifics, like where my ancestors that came over here on a slave ship that got sold into slavery, where it connects the dot back to where I'm from. I was so excited, and I'm still excited. Every time I look at the results, I'm always still kind of excited about it. And like, it really makes me proud to be Black and proud of like my ancestry and proud to see all of the things.
I love that. And I kind of envy you. I envy you and that excitement that you have. Not that I wasn't excited about my results. It's just, I think a big part of it is because like, I'm not the smartest. You know, I'm good with people. I've never been one to be good with my brain. You know this. You know the things of like how my brain works.
But I wouldn't say that you're not smart.
But there's like people who are people smart and then people who are book smart and like street smarts, right? I feel like I'm people smart, where I am able to notice the slight changes in people. Some people say that that's trauma, but I can adjust, and I've made it work to my advantage, right? I made those little quirk things work in my advantage in terms of like, I'm good with people. I can read people. I feel like I can help. I like helping people. But when it comes to history, when it comes to anything that's got to do with states, math, all of that stuff, I've never really been great at it. So it's hard for my brain to be like, hey, this isn't an assignment. This isn't something that you're going to get graded on. This is just more information for you to have a better sense of self, right? And I think that's what I've been trying to tell myself, where it's like, because I still do feel like I'm processing the results that I have, and it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this information? What do I do with this? Like, it's great to have, but what now? What's?
I think. Do you want? I think that you could easily get excited about learning about the Afro-Latino part of you, and learning that is part of the Latino culture, and like really learning that and like really embracing that, and then also embracing your native part of you as well. I know I just seeing like going to college in San Francisco. Not that it's comparable. It is comparable because it's another native people. It's a native people of the Americas. But seeing the pridefulness of native people in San Francisco, and I got to hang out with a lot of people that were prideful to be native, which was an amazing experience because I got to see other people be proud of their culture, which made me in turn want to be even more proud of my culture. And seeing that and seeing their rituals, seeing like how they like their dishes and their foods and how they interact and how they feel and their own struggles that they have within their own cultures, that was also enlightening for me as well. So like seeing that, it also inspired me. I think that also kind of inspired me to get my 23&Me results too, was like seeing my friends who were part native really embrace their culture and really take it in. And like really, you know what I mean? You're part native and you could take it in. You're part African and you could take it in. And you don't have to like choose a side. You don't have to pick a side.
I think that's really what it is. It's this feeling of like, you know, the last thing I would ever want is to be those people who do these kinds of tests and they're just like, well, I'm native and like, and well, you know, the last thing I want to do is take up space for someone else, you know, like I don't want to come into spaces that aren't mine. But I guess maybe that's the problem, because with these results, it's like, hey, you are a part of that space.
What if I told you some of the mentality that you have, or maybe a feeling? What if I told you that some of it is a colonizer mindset?
I don't think that that's a bad thing. Like I'm not like offended.
Which is a lot of it's not just singularly you, right?
I think the great thing about having a friend like you is again, whenever we have these kinds of conversations, it's coming from a place of honesty, but also a place of genuine care, where you're not trying to belittle me. You're not trying to make me feel stupid. You're just in your way also educating me, which isn't your responsibility, but you're still doing it in a graceful manner where you're just like, hey, bro, that mindset that you have is something that has been programmed in you from a child. You know, I had told a friend of mine that I, you know, recently had found out that I had a high percentage of African in me, right? That I was blacker than I had originally thought. And his initial response was, LOL. And like all Dominicans, your butt hurt that you're blacker than you thought. And my immediate response to him was actually no, because I'm breaking generational curses. Yeah. I'm actually excited to find out about this whole side of me that I didn't know existed. And I don't think there's enough of us that are like that are willing to embrace.
But you know, that's the running joke. The running joke is Dominicans be like, they could be darker than me and be like, me no Dominican, me no black, I'm Dominican. You know what I mean? Like that. What's that dude? Like, the funny comedian Jeffrey or whatever his name is. He comes up and be like, no black, Dominican. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yep. I know the man that's in there. I'll click the video after, but I know the man.
Yeah, but he says that's always been the running joke, especially on the East Coast. If you grew up with people that are Puerto Rican or Dominican, like internally your anti-blackness is so strong that like you can't even see that you black when you black. And like that
but that's really, I mean, that's also, that goes back to, you know, Puerto Ricans, oh, I'm not Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican. Or Dominicans, I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Dominican. Right? Yeah. Where it's just like, bro, I'm both. Can you calm the fuck down?
Like you said earlier, the Dominican Republic and Haiti shared the same island, bro.
Bro, like, cousins.
Like
Stop
literally, y'all thought the blackness just stop at the Haiti line? Like, I don't understand.
Bro,
like,
they really, that denial runs deep. It runs deep. I thought for sure Haiti was gonna come up on those results.
Yeah,
be like, hey.
But I mean, it could be the
22% Haitian, like something.
But yeah, that's just that's what I'm saying. A lot of the like the things is like it's like unlearning a lot of like colonization, and like you have to, because I mean Spanish colonization was pretty terrible. So like it's a lot of unlearning of that, and it's also like a mixture of the culture, because a lot of Dominican music is primarily African type music, and so like so my friend, he's really into like Afro beats, and like a lot of music he sends me, because he's always sending me music, are Afro beats and Afro artists. And one of the things that he had said is that he genuinely just always enjoyed it, but he took it upon himself to learn more, because when he did the DNA testing, he found out that he was 15% black. My man is white. Yeah. He is a white Dominican man. But I thought it was really cool that he was just like, I want to do more in terms of my education and you know, where can I do better? How can I create spaces or help spaces where people would see me one way, try to treat me one way, and be like, hey, that's actually not okay for you to do. Yeah. But also I think you should just, in general, probably just have conversations with actual Afro-Latinos. I'm an African American, so for me, you know what I mean, I look black. I've been dark skinned my whole life, or brown skinned my whole life. Depending where I live, I'm dark skinned. Depending where I am, I'm brown skinned. So like, in my family, I'm considered a dark skinned person, and so like, for me, I looked this way my whole life. I never had to think about not being black. I never had to think about not being anything other than black. So like, that's based off like what I look like, right? My phenotype. For you, for a lot of Latino people, it's different because y'all are like mixed, and so it's different. And like like I said, I'm no expert, but I could be honest to say that like my partner who's Latino thought that you were black. So what
was it? Wait, what was it that he said? What'd you say?
He was like, she didn't think that she was black. Basically, like he was.
She didn't know?
He was genuinely confused.
that's what it is though, right? You literally had the same mindset with me where you were just like, True, I feel like you're black.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're black. And for me, I guess I'd rather have the proof.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Not necessarily because of like, oh, I get to claim it. It's more of like, when it does come up, I guess it's a bit of imposter syndrome, honestly.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I don't feel like I am someone who can claim to be black. And I don't know if that is, again, that colonizer mentality where it's just like, what have I done to say that I'm black? Just because I do know a lot of.
Well, you don't, like I said, you don't have to call, like, I think you don't have to call yourself black at all. You don't have to call yourself Afro-Latino at all. You're primarily a mixed race person. Like you're 56%.
Right, but in the sense of like when the conversation comes up, right?
Yeah.
If I say I'm mixed, okay, what are you mixed with? In the sense of like, at one point or another, the conversation would come up that I'm more than just Hispanic, right? I'm mixed.
Yeah.
Growing up not officially knowing that information, it's just a notion of just like, I don't want to take up somebody else's space again, and it's just weird to me. It's weird. It's a weird concept when you grow up knowing one thing about you, and then all of a sudden there's all this other information, and maybe I'm making a bigger deal of it than what it is, and I think that's
your experience.
I just got these, and like, we grew up in a very prideful house. We grew up in a house where
like you don't know where to fit in, and you don't want to overstep, but it's also a part of you. So what do you do?
Yes, and that's exactly how I feel. Where I'm like, okay, so I wonder what that would look like for me when somebody asked me what am I, and I'd say, oh, I'm a mixed race, right? And then what if the conversation continues? You know what I'm saying? Just like, okay, so then what do I say?
So,
like, what?
I feel like you can still. I mean, you still are like most people that are from Latin America. You identify as Latino or Latina.
Yeah,
or Latinx,
I guess.
Right. So like.
But again, I know I feel like I'm making this bigger than what it needs to be. At least that's what it feels like for me right now, where I'm just like, girl, you're being so fucking dramatic, and for what? I think it's just that notion of like, I love and enjoy the fact that I did this, and I want to make sure that I also honor that whole side that I don't know about. It's exciting to learn about it.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. This is a lot of information. It's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information to take in, but it's exciting.
Yes.
It's so exciting. Like you get to like you gotta think about where all of your ancestors come from. I always like think about it like I see them, and like I see all the like, not only all of like their culture of like the foods, the dress, the way they dress, their religions, like you take all that in, you're like, oh, and I get that could be overwhelming, but it's so special that you get to do that.
And I think that's also what it is too, where I think it's a cool thing that
because you look at other cultures and they don't have this issue of like being proud of where they're from. When I see a Filipino is proud of where they're from. When I see, you know what I mean? When I see a Mexican person they're proud of where they're from. You know what I mean? So like, be proud of every little bit, even though you're proud of being Latina, but now you got like a whole nother part. Now, like you can identify with fucking Celia Cruz. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's exciting.
No, I think it definitely is cool. I think it's just it's my brain, man. I'm like, nah, that I want to have the enthusiasm that you have, and maybe that's just gonna come with the more I discover.
Yeah, maybe join some Facebook groups, maybe like some forums,
ones that are more than just Puerto Rico pride.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, probably join like, hey, I'm part black, I'm part native, I'm part this. And I just want to learn. And like, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything else. I just want to learn, and I just want to be a part. If you guys want to have a conversation, great. If you don't, great. You know what I mean? Like, just approach it that way.
Yeah.
And you should be
100%.
fine. It should be fine.
Yeah. I also think, honestly, I really do think it's great that I have you in my corner. Can I just say for like a second?
Yeah.
Just because you don't make me feel stupid for it, man. You really do make me feel like it's okay for me to have these questions and for me to feel the way that I feel about it, and not like fucking put me in a corner like, bitch, you gonna sit there and think about why the fuck you said what you said. You know what I'm saying? Where it just feels nice to know that I can ask these questions in a safe space and not be judged for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice. So thanks for that. I appreciate that.
I mean, judge for what? I mean, we're just finding out some ancestry results. You found out some great information, and now we're discussing it. And that's where I look at it.
I mean, you're right. That's fair.
People are just like America. It's a mixed place. It's a mixed place. You could get a redhead with blue eyes in the same place where a dark-skinned person with an afro. You know what I mean? A black person with an afro. So, and all in the same place, and they both speak Spanish, and they both Latino, and they both, you know, like.
You just described two people that I know.
Yep. So of course, there's gonna be mixing and the mingling of the peoples, and that's how you get a true.
Double dipping.
Yeah.
Double dipping.
Yep. Mind you, the history behind it might be a little, but
a little bit tougher to swallow.
But at least
we here now.
Yeah, at least you here.
I actually think this is a really great place for us to just take a little commercial break real quick, and we will be right back with the rest of the episode.
Yep. Well, welcome back, True. Welcome back. So, after all this information that you've downloaded into your brain and the discussion of just learning the differences of race, nationality, ethnicity, also learning about yourself, and also learning that there's a new part of you that you get to discover and really ground and root your Latinaness. How does that make you feel?
My brain hurts. I'll be so fucking for real, bro. My brain hurts. I cannot retain so much information in one go. Okay? When I was in college, I had a professor who literally would pull me aside and be like, hey, are you okay? Your eyes are glazing. I was like, nah, bro, you're talking too much. In the most respectful way, where I'm like, I literally need to get up and take a break, because the way that I learn is by moving and by touching and by, retaining things that way. To say that, it still does not mean that like there is that excitement of, oh, this is cool. This is a cool thing. We gonna see what it's gonna be. We gonna see what it's gonna bring and what opportunities can open up for me with the education of like, hey, there's more to you than you didn't know before.
Boom.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's exciting, and I think that you're going to love it just as much as I have loved it, of like exploring more places and my own culture, because being African American is amazing. Sorry, it's
no. Hey, man.
I love being black. I love it. I love every moment. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. Even though we have a very hard time in this country, I could say that like being black is
top tier.
Chef's kiss. Wouldn't have it.
10 out of 10. Do recommend.
Because number one, I love how funny, how we could turn any situation into a positive, how the food, the music, how we influence the entire world.
Yes.
The entire world. We got the whole entire world on our hip hop dick. And so, you know what I mean? So for us, for African Americans, for me to come from literally being treated like nothing,
y'all are Brooklyn,
to being treated, to fighting for equality, for fighting for who we are, still to this day, I wouldn't for me, that I take so much pride in being black. Period. Y'all
really are the blueprint. That is something that I think at least I feel like if my family members could hear me, they'd be like, why the fuck would you say that? Because of the whole issue of, the pridefulness and things like that. But where do you think we got all of our ideas? Where do you think everyone got their ideas? Be so for real.
Listen, and I feel like the most mistreated people are Black, brown, and Asian folks, right? And I feel like we're the most integral parts of this country. Without us, shit don't move. So like,
and I really do. And like,
so like, I
can say all of that and still agree that, like, I mean, when it comes to Black, browns, like, I know for a fact, baby, when I walk into a building, I'm the one who's bringing the most heat. I'm the most fire person in the building, especially where I live.
Listen.
And I say that with pride. I know for like, bro, I have people coming to me and being like, I've never met anybody like you. or you're so funny. You're so, baby, I know. Or when I cook a meal for somebody, I've never had anything like this before.
See?
Your cooking is so good. Baby, I know.
And now you know.
You're welcome.
Now you know it was that blackness in you.
Like,
and on that note, I think that's what we should have a relationship in the episode.
I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know that a lot of the subjects that we talked about can be considered hot topics, but look at the material.
Yeah, and someone gonna be in the comments and they're gonna wrap us up in a bow. But like,
listen,
you know,
look at AJ and I. What else would you expect? We're going to talk about what we know and our experiences, and this is it. Sorry, not sorry.
I don't claim to be an expert. I don't claim to know everything. I just go from what I experience, and I lead from a place of love and understanding.
Lead from a place of love, a place of gratitude, honestly.
Yeah. And that's where you gotta lead from. And I'm open to always having discussions, and I want the dialogue in the comments to be discussions and not, back and forths. I want it to be a discussion of like, yeah, we have to understand each other. We have to unlearn things. We have to relearn things, and we have to continue to learn as we move about this thing called life. And on that note,
yes,
I'm out.
I'm here for it.